1240.
Hear it live on the Motor Racing Network, the voice of NASCAR.
Check it out live on Chattanooga's official NASCAR radio station.
Fox News Talk 1240.
This is David Tulis. We are here at AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. Thank you for giving us a few moments of your time. I have here in the studio a writer, an author of a first novel published by Author House, I believe the name of the publisher. His name is Robert Martin Bishop, and his book is I, Jatibus. Now, Jatibus is a anglicized way of pronouncing the French word for I kiss you. Je te baise is in French the pronunciation of that. And it is a story about a fallen angel who regrets having left heaven, and his missive, his book, which runs in one edition past 400 pages here, as you can see on YouTube, is a warning to the world, that doesn't know all the story yet. Robert Martin Bishop is 63. He lives in Dunellen, Florida. He's married with 2 grown children and has been all of his life. Dad was a minister in the Lutheran Church. Of course, the Lutheran Church rose out of the work of Martin Luther, the Dominican monk who tapped his 95 Theses, on the door of the church in Wittenberg, and he challenged and then overthrew the monstrous prevarications of the church at the time that had hidden the gospel from the people. And Robert Martin Bishop is in that tradition. I asked him, had he read a lot of Luther? And he had, and many other works as well. So his work is a work of fiction, and he had a regular life as a man and a dad. He was a sales manager and a sales rep, and retired from that. And the last 8 years of his life before he writing was as a high school teacher. And he says his goal is that he wants people to talk more about God, the Creator. So, Robert, tell my listener a little bit about this story. It is a kind of allegory. It's a kind of fantasy. How do you describe the nature of this, Robert?
Well, the book is a confession of the fallen angel, and it talks a lot about angels and demons and so forth. I just stopped myself. It is Jatibus is speaking to a sleeping priest who does not realize that he's being dictated to until one day he wakes up, and to Jatibus, and they begin this endeavor together to confess to God, to confess to humanity, before Satan finds out what they're planning.
So what is the crisis in this book? What is the great thing that has to be averted? What thing has to happen, let's say, so that humanity might be saved? What is the crucial issue?
Well, there is no one crucial issue. It's a building toward what would be the goal of Satan, which is the utter damnation of mankind. He wants to stop it. The book refers to various climaxes in history. World War II would have been one of them, and Hitler and the Holocaust would have been one of those climaxes. And the Crusades would have been another one of those climaxes many years before. And Jatibus is saying that he senses another climax occurring now.
Would the Reformation have been a climax from which your family as Lutherans came from in the 1500s? Is that a climax in the book at some point in his narrative?
It's referred to, but no, it's not one of the climaxes. I believe if people look around now today and see what's going on in the world today, you might imagine what the next climax could possibly be.
Well, Robert Martin Bishop, you mentioned here things that are happening in the world. It sounds like things that are maybe in the news or that are cultural trends or mega political trends pushed you to produce this work. What was the driving reason for writing this fictional story that has a great deal of theological interest?
first reason was that the book has been in my head since college days. I actually had the prologue and the epilogue written in college, and so it's been working its way through my head all this time. But once I sat down to write, I realized that what we could do with this book is to get people talking about faith and God and goodness and morality, rather than, what's good for me today. What can I get from you today? Rather, we should be talking about, to use an overused word, things like family values, and so forth.
A book that deals with spiritual beings and creatures of the higher or lower realm would seem to be one of very fluid, with a lot of subjective perspectives. The reader is taken into people's minds, and as I read parts of the book, well, that leads me to ask: is there a clear delineation in this book between good and evil? Is there a clear line, or is it somehow fluid?
I don't think good and evil are fluid at all. I think there's good and I think there's evil. Mankind has free will. God gave us free will. However, that free will can be manipulated. And as the book will sort of explain to people and walk them through this fictional story, is that we walk around thinking that we're doing anything we want, whenever we want. But actually, we're always being influenced by something outside, be it good or evil.
We're talking with Robert Martin Bishop. My name is David Tulis. Thank you for giving us a few minutes of your time. He's an author, first-time author of a book called I, Jatibus, that has been out for a few months, and we've published in March, and here we've caught him coming through Chattanooga. It's in the vein of Dan Brown's 2003 thriller, Da Vinci Code, which you may have read. I've read that book, and it's in the same vein. So it has generating excitement over things that are questions about God, questions about revelation, questions about the church and the institution of Christendom and its many parts. And Robert Martin Bishop is writing on questions that are really very deep. Now, one question I'd like to ask you, Robert, is: are men responsible for evil and the fall in your volume, or are angels and demons?
Well, I believe that our free will makes us both powerful in one way, but in another way weak, because we could be influenced.
Well, hold on for a second. All right,
sure.
Let's talk about give me my answer in terms of the book, not just what you think.
It is in terms of the book, actually. The book will show how and give examples even of how we may or may not have been influenced for our lives. For example, maybe there is someone in your life that was in your life quickly, became very close to you, and then all of a sudden faded away, and you don't see them anymore. You don't talk to them anymore, but they had some influence on your life. There's that sort of thing. Then there's the direct influence of, hey, you know what? Free money from the government. All you have to do is complain a little bit, and you can sit at home. There's that sort of an influence as well.
So men are responsible for evil, but they are influenced by angelic and demonic beings that live hidden from our physical perception.
Exactly. It's our susceptibility to that makes us either good or difficult.
Does I, Jatibus, Robert Martin Bishop, offer a new theory about man's relationship to God, or does it somehow try to stimulate interest in old arguments and old perspectives?
It tries to stimulate faith and hope. I, as the author and the protagonist, believes that if people would simply regain their faith and their willingness to talk about it, then the world's problems will simply be solved. And actually, in actuality, people who have read it and reviewed it told me that they did, in fact, feel very hopeful when they closed the book on the epilogue. And one particular fellow said that his faith was waning. But now all of a sudden he feels empowered because he felt like the book was, he said, everything that happened in that book, in my view, or could possibly happen in the future.
Or a phenomenon that I suspect many Christians overstudy. I think a lot of Christians look at the fiction rack at the junk store or Christian bookstore, topic of demons to create excitement and thrill and danger and is it possible for a person who's maybe my listener who's a Christian here, who feels that maybe we shouldn't be examining things so closely, and we should rather be engrossed by, say, as presented in the Bible?
Well, one thing I've always wondered about is how a Christian can actually fear a demon. Because if you have faith, you have nothing to fear. Know your enemy. Talking about them exposes them. You know them, and your faith will carry you through whatever it is that particular influence is trying to put upon you.
So you're suggesting that your book, I Jatibus, Robert Martin Bishop, does not feed let's say a distracting interest in Christendom, even though it does have demonic figures in there. It has a fallen angel who's regretting his rebellion. You're not somehow taking part in that. What I suggest is a kind of distraction in Christianity.
Not at all. I think people who like to read about demons and so forth are in there for the intrigue. But this rather is a comparison of fallen angels versus real angels, or let's say good angels, heavenly angels, God and Satan, good, evil, morality, immorality. It's all two opposing forces.
The book's effect would be Robert Martin Bishop on a non-believer who reads it. How does it testify to what you believe is true about God and man?
Okay, I think an atheist would consider this a good suspense novel. If he enjoyed the Da Vinci Code, he's going to enjoy this book. You don't have to be a person of faith to enjoy the book. And I have been told that by people who are not faithful people. People who do have a knowledge or a background in religion, be it Judeo or Christian faith, people who do have that faith would be helped by their background knowledge of theology and teachings in the Bible and so forth.
Now, Christians, not starting with, but I would say their point emphasized by Martin Luther, the Reformer, hold that the Scriptures are sufficient for knowledge of God, offending that claim by your fictional work about demons and angels and this fallen angel who's making his memoir available for the reader.
One bit. Not in any way am I showing any disrespect to the Roman Catholic Church, which plays a very big part in this. In fact, the two living popes are characters or become characters at the end of it. No, not
Say
at
something
all.
about that.
Well, we all know that Pope Benedict resigned. The book offers an explanation for that. Right.
Could you tell us in a brief what that is?
He resigned because in the book, because he had lost faith and he had lost direction. And that did affect his health, but it also enabled him to, of course, God knows what's going to happen next. It also enabled him to and I don't want to expose what happens in the end, but it enabled him to assist the priest and indirectly Jatibus.
This is David Tulis, and we're talking with Robert Martin Bishop, who is the author, a new writer, and he's finally unburdened his soul after decades of parts of this novel, I, Jatibus, being in his, and it was published in March by Author House. And let me just ask you briefly about the business of publishing Robert Martin Bishop. This is, we live in an age of POD, print on demand, and you have made, really anybody can publish. Tell us a little bit about getting a book into print. How much does it cost? It's a kind of investment. It's an investment of your family capital in your ideas and in connecting with readers. Say a little bit about how this book came to be.
Sure. Once the book was finished and I started looking for publishers, frankly, the first thing to do is to check the internet and see who has the least amount of negative press. But Author House is an excellent publisher, and actually the one you're holding was published by a Christian publisher called Xulon, Xulon.
So there's a second edition.
There is a second edition, yeah. And the process is actually quite easy. You simply work with the experts at the publishing house for how you want the book set up. You choose or design. In this case, my sister and my wife designed the cover with some information from me, and we sent the design to the publishers, and this is what they came up with.
And we are looking, if you are watching our show here on AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio, we're holding up for you on YouTube the book I, Jatibus by Donnell in Florida, who's just passing through town, and we snagged him for our interview. And it's here. It's the cover shows the middle of the cover is a sword aimed down, and from the top of it look like dove's wings. And this is set. Set is these two items are set in look like a giant hall, or in maybe Turin or Rome, perhaps.
It's actually St. Paul's Basilica in Rome.
Okay, St. Paul's Basilica in Rome, and there's some chess pieces on the front there on the left side. So there's the sense of steps to be made, steps to be done and undone. And this book is out in March. So Robert Martin Bishop, say something. Again, why should my listener care? Why should the listener of AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio care about this book? What's in it for him? What's the benefit to that man right there watching us on YouTube?
Well, if you look around in the world today and all of the horrible things that are happening right now, and if you like to read, this book is, I think, going to be a very important read for you. If we look at things, the beheading and throwing gay people off of buildings and all of the horrible things that are happening right now, even in our own country. I think that the read will give you, if you don't already have a good, strong faith, I think it'll help with that. And I think most of all, it'll give us hope, because a lot of people are losing hope. Look at the political arena right now. People are losing hope.
I ask you another question about the art of writing? A good novel is one in which there's a character development. The character sees something that he hadn't seen before. He becomes something new, either better or worse, in the course of the experiences that are described. Do the characters in I, Jatibus change? And if so, which character changes and how?
All of the characters, except for Satan, of course. And
he's static.
He's pretty static.
He doesn't change, doesn't improve.
All of the characters develop in some way from beginning to end. They all grow. They all change perspective. They even change personalities a little bit. That someone who studies literature would pick up on.
Does the repentant angel, obviously, if he's a repentant angel, changes, right? He's changed somehow his perspective.
Well, his perspective has changed, and he explains finally to the priest why he changed and what made him turn. But that's not important for right now. But change and grow even in the even during the course of the story.
Now, just we're talking with Robert Martin Bishop, and his book is available at Amazon. The prices are, the Kindle version is about $4. Is that right? And a hardcover version, it says
$28.95.
$29.95. Robert, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
This is David Tulis with AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio, and I've got some important announcements I want you to hear. Thank you.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
Fox News Talk 1240.
Truex Jr. is off the pace and he is headed to the pit lane. Elliott Howard's around the outside. Michael McDowell pops the right front tire. Here's Martin Truex to the bottom. Blaney blocks him off too. Meanwhile, Chase Elliott went 4 wide on the back straightaway. They're side by side for the lead.
Hear it live on Chattanooga's official NASCAR radio station.
Fox News Talk 1240.
The voice of NASCAR.
MLS 2239. Listen up, y'all. Ben Phillips Home Rate Mortgage, 805-9100. I'm in the business of saving people money. And if you want to save money, pick that cell phone up right now. 805-9100. I received a call that I won't forget. A family of 5. The husband's a TVA engineer. Financial stress was rising from medical bills and children in college. We lowered their rate, paid off their bills, and saved them $800 per month. Now they're living stress-free. And the best part is this. They're skipping 2 payments and paying off their home 7 years faster. It's easy, and you can do it too. It just takes 10 minutes, 1 phone call to 805-9.